Hello everyone and welcome to the latest webinar by Dubba. This webinar is entitled Unlocking New Sources of Revenue and Growth, Differentiate or Die. My name is Theo Tida and I'm the Regional VP for Sales for Dubba across the Asia Pacific region, and I'm going to be your host for today's session. I'm going to be joined in a minute by our Chief Customer Officer, Andy Lark. Andy's going to be talking to us today for approximately about 20 minutes, and he's going to be talking around this key concept of the voice data, and that it matters more than ever, I guess. And what we'll be looking at is really some of the areas around how do we capture voice data and how does that address some of the challenges that our end customers need to fix. We'll also be looking at some of the areas around how do we actually differentiate our offerings based on the concept of how that voice data gets utilized in the marketplace, and then looking at this kind of concept of unified core recording and how that's unique to Dubba, but also how we position that again into the customer arena, but also how that generates additional revenue sources, and then also looking at the uniqueness of this concept of unified core recording and the voice AI that's available through Dubba, and obviously by extension our partners, and how we surface that with our customers across the region. I'll then come back to talk to you around some of the ways that we can use qualifying questions to unearth those opportunities, and that will go for about 10 minutes, and then we'll finish up with just a few minutes. Don't know if I need 5 or so, but we'll need a couple of minutes just to talk through the Dubba Grow rewards program, just to make sure that everyone's aware about how we can add incremental revenue to your businesses just for registering opportunities, I guess, or leads into the Dubba portal. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and then there should hopefully be some time at the end to answer any questions. Again, hopefully if you've attended sessions with Dubba before, you'll know that there's a chat function available, so you should be able to kind of see that in the bottom right of your screen. So do please ask questions as we go. We will endeavor to answer them, and if we can't answer them in the session, we'll send through the appropriate answers after today's event. So thank you for your attention again. My name is Theo Tida. I'll be your host, as I said, and I'll hand over now to our Chief Customer Officer, Andy Lark, to talk to you about voice data. Thank you.
Hi, everybody, and thanks for joining us today. We're really thrilled to be able to take you through some of the exciting stuff we have going on at Dubba, but more importantly, to talk to you about how you can unlock revenue and differentiation more broadly in the market and on the Dubba platform. Now, we've been listening hard to resellers, both here in Australia and around the world, to their challenges, the things they're facing in the market. And we hear a lot of things, but they have some really common themes, mainly centered around how do we differentiate? How do we compete beyond price and service? How are we seen as a partner, not just a supplier? And how do we move beyond just selling connections to selling the kind of value and solution our customers need to answer the challenges that they're facing today? When we talk to reps in particular, they're struggling to understand, how do I increase my commission, and how do I benefit from annual recurring revenue, or as the industry calls it, ARR? But I need to do that in a way that really does show value to customers. And how do I retain those customers as more and more players come into the market and start attacking our base? We also heard a lot of talk from resellers about, we're a little tired of sort of the AI pixie dust being sprinkled all over everything. It's very difficult for our customers to see value in it. So we need real solutions to real challenges. And what I'm going to do today is talk you through a variety of approaches to that and to solving these questions, but also how you can be doing this with Dubba, because Dubba offers a very unique capability and an incredibly exciting opportunity for our channel partners. The really crucial shift that's occurring in the market is this idea of moving from simply selling connections, whether it's Teams, whether it's mobile connections, whether it's traditional connectivity to a call center or a desktop, to really being able to understand, how do I monetize and create value from the content flowing on networks, from the conversations themselves, and then how do I provide context? How do I provide insights? How do I provide reports, alerts? How do I integrate that content with dashboards and more? Because once you unlock this formula of moving from selling connections to selling the value of content, and then delivering context for compliance, for revenue intelligence, for customer satisfaction, you unlock an incredible opportunity across your customer base. An opportunity that not only creates high annual recurring revenue, but one that also significantly improves retention. Really, the formula is pretty simple in creating these new recurring revenue streams. First, start with a base subscription. And the great thing about a solution such as Dubba is it starts at a very low, affordable price point that literally can be attached to every single proposal you're making in the market today. It's a feature and function that's required today in many regulated and partially regulated industries, but it's one that most businesses need and want. Once you've done that, you can start monetizing that base by upgrading those customers to even richer solutions that enable you to deliver managed voice data offerings where they're looking to retain and manage data, integrate data with their big data lakes and the like. Monetizing it by integrating Dubba with the other customer systems they've got, such as Salesforce. That's both a professional services opportunity for you, but it's also a really interesting upsell of annual recurring revenue. And then finally, how do you build insights? How do you build alerts, reports, AI-trained responses to issues that could be emerging in the business? All of this means that you're not just starting with a base annual recurring revenue stream, but you're starting with one that can be upgraded and upsold as time goes on into ever richer solutions. When we go out and talk to channel partners, one of the things that we often most hear is, look, I'm just looking to have really great conversations with customers about their pain points and show them a way of gaining against those pain points. And there's arguably no better way than doing that today than unified call recording. If you think about it today, voice, and I'm going to talk about this in a minute, is one of the largest untapped sources of data in the enterprise. So the more you can show them how you can unlock value from it with a comprehensive solution set, the more you'll be able to migrate from simply selling an application or a connection to actually unlocking the power of content and selling additional services and solutions that give them context from that content. When you think about what we do and what's at the heart of our business, it's really pretty straightforward. And it's something that customers want today, and that is to end not knowing. Every one of the conversations we have today has valuable content and insights in it, and largely it's untouched. So if you're looking to do proactive compliance in a business, if you're selling to financial services, the travel industry, the gaming and wagering industry, or even basic e-commerce industries, they're looking to comply with all kinds of regulations, both here in Australia and around those worlds. Those regulations could span PCI compliance, they could span data retention and storage mandates, or it could be financial services regulations, such as those that every single financial services entity, from the mortgage broker to the investment banker, have to comply with. What's interesting though is when I go talk to customers in the market, a lot of them are actually dealing with really basic things. They're looking to, number one, resolve customer disputes with evidence of what the customer asked for. And this is a major driver of the need for call recording in small to medium businesses. Then there's customer intelligence, understanding customer sentiment data, not having to do surveys every 6 months into how happy or sad your customers are, but being able to probe that data in real time, call by call or in aggregate. This idea that with the click of a button, I can open the Dubba app and go in, I can see today how many of my calls are positive, negative, neutral, but more importantly, if I jump over to people intelligence, I can also tell how my team is doing. Are they positive, negative, or neutral? Do I have emerging issues with my highly distributed workforce? So the applications for call recording are nearly endless in every business, and it's not hard through some very simple conversations to identify where that customer pain point is and how we can solve it together with you for that customer, delivering near instant ROI. If you take something such as customer intelligence, the cost of call recording nearly is paid for alone by stopping or replacing traditional approaches to understanding customer data. Revenue intelligence enables you to drive even greater revenue by surfacing where products are being cancelled and the reasons why, where sales opportunities might be being missed because salespeople necessarily might not be phoning a script in the call center, or they may be off script or off message. The ability to surface market intelligence in real time by understanding the kinds of solutions most sought for by customers or the problems they're facing. All of this is made possible by ending not knowing through the world of voice data intelligence. Now, the world clearly changed over the past year and dramatically. And the emergence of COVID almost a year and a half ago or so now, feels much longer than that, has really amplified the need for call recording. We're now operating in a multi-endpoint world. So it's no longer enough for me to just go, I can record calls off my inbound SIP trunk connection or just off my mobiles. Now we're nearly all living on various unified communications platforms, whether those are Cisco WebEx, Microsoft Teams, it could be Zoom, it could be RingCentral, any number of that broad spectrum. Now I need to capture calls from all those endpoints and put them in one place. I need evidence of crucial conversations because I can't always have those crucial meetings in person anymore. And often now we're distributed when we're having those meetings. Where a lot of the compliance mandates at the start of COVID were paused around call recording, they're now unpaused. And so people have to legally be capturing many of their crucial conversations in a lot of these industries. And there's obviously a huge concern amongst customer-facing businesses around how do I collect data now around customer conversations when I'm no longer touching the customer, where I don't meet them in person or I'm physically not interacting with them in a store, where they're largely interacting with me over the phone. How do I now collect that data? Well, the answer, simply put, is unified call recording. And unified call recording is really amplified by the fact that still today, 80% or more of our crucial conversations are voice, and they're augmented with digital. We think nothing of keeping and retaining every single email ever sent to and from the business, and increasingly try to capture and retain all those text messages. But there, until now, hasn't been a solution that enabled you to do it universally across every conversation, irrespective of the endpoint. As a result, even today where call recording has been done on high cost, non-scalable legacy platforms such as those in the call center, still they're largely only sampling call recording. So less than 10% of those crucial conversations are captured. Now today, as I said, more than 50% of those conversations, if they're happening outside the call center, are largely unaddressed or they're non-compliant. By non-compliant, I mean you'll bump into people who are using what we call personal call recording. So if you click on Zoom, you can record it. Well, there's a couple of problems with that. First of all, it generally doesn't meet any of the compliance mandates for data sovereignty, for privacy protection, for redaction of key data. You've got huge storage constraints unless you're on a very high cost enterprise plan, and the list goes on from there. So the answer isn't personal call recording. If you are going to do call recording, you need to migrate to a unified call recording platform. And that's not going to change. Still today, 61% or more of all these CFOs in financial services plan to keep remote work. So this demand for unified call recording is not going to go away anytime soon. So when you think about it today, voice largely is the largest untapped source of data and insights. And today that represents an enormous multi-billion-dollar market opportunity globally to take all those crucial conversations and turn them into data. Now, as we turn them into data, we get to do incredible things with them. We get to apply AI so we can understand behavioral trends, customer sentiment trends, keyword trends. We also get to do things like turn them into beautiful transcriptions. And having run large-scale call centers myself, I can tell you there was nothing worse in my morning than knowing I'd be coming in and there'd be this stack of unreadable, unintelligent, call recording transcripts that I'd have to make my way through. And if I'd had Dubba, that would have literally saved me hours a day, because the call recordings are beautiful, they're easy to navigate, I can do it on my phone, I can search for keywords, I can search for certain operators, I can even listen to the associated voice snippets. So it's an enormously powerful way of addressing real pain points that exist across your customer base right now. So how do we do that? Well, the first thing about Dubba that makes us incredibly unique and adds to your differentiation as a channel partner is we sit inside the networks and solutions that are in the market today. There's no extra hardware needed. You download the app onto your phone, it gets turned on with a switch. This is a dead easy sell to a customer who is right now faced with endless professional services requests, the need to buy hardware, the need to buy storage. All of that goes away with Dubba because we're born in the cloud, we're infinitely scalable, but more importantly, we are generally across all of the most important platforms they care about. Secondly, we're partnered with the best in the world, IBM, AWS, and more. So we can apply this rich intelligence to the data as it's been created and create unique insights. And then because we're a cloud-based platform, we're connectable to nearly anything out there. So Salesforce, Google Data Studio, and more. We use Google Data Studio a lot to surface everything from our call center dashboard to our sales agent performance and more. So this new way of call recording, this new way of generating insights from voice data is enormously powerful. And it's very, very different to the old world. As I described, this app-centric personal call recording or the traditional legacy call center world gets upended and gives you a unique and powerful source of differentiation. And it nearly applies to anyone in the business. You could be in compliance and suddenly, rather than spending many hours searching and conducting an investigation, it can be done in seconds. A new sales leader can instantly listen to the conversations occurring between their new sales reps, for instance, and customers. If you think about the amount of time a salesperson might spend updating sales records with a conversation, that gets replaced and is instantly, those Salesforce records are instantly updated with transcriptions, they're updated with sentiment data, they're updated with accurate call data in terms of length of call and time of call. That literally could give you back 5 hours a week of sales productivity. And you just do the math on a 10 or 15 person sales team, you're getting an extra salesperson a year by deploying Dubba. So the benefits are powerful right across the organization of deploying Dubba and realizing these benefits. And as I've said, this is not a difficult sell because it's largely designed to be on with a click. It's infinitely scalable and affordable. As you see in a minute, we have a variety of plans that enable you to target the customer, get them going at a very simple and accessible, near instant ROI purchase point, and then to add value through selling add-ons and upgrading them to richer solutions as they need it. And because we're always there and we're always on, we can record 100% of all conversations, no questions asked. You don't need to worry about storage. We do that fully secure, in a fully secure and compliant way. And then we integrate simply and easily. If you think about Dubba today, these facts have really enabled us to establish our position as the global leader. We're on over 200 and more networks and solutions. We've recorded billions of minutes. We're the #1 certified compliant call recording solution. We're one of only 2 Microsoft Teams compliant call recording solutions available, and customers love us. Customers love the Dubba solution for its ease of use, its utility, the simplicity of deploying it. So we are 100% committed to your success in bringing this to more customers globally and helping you differentiate in the market. This gives you a feel for all of the different platforms we're on around the world, and too many to talk about today. But if the world's leading service providers are standardizing and adopting Dubba, you should be extremely confident in talking to your customers about Dubba also. So how and what do you sell if you're out presenting Dubba? Well, start with basic call recording, call Dubba. Couple of coffees a week gets you more in the money to get going and start recording. with full enterprise controls and compliance. Simply and easily upgrade then to Dubba AI and the voice intelligence cloud, which gives you everything you could need and more. And then quickly and simply add on Salesforce connectors, enriched API connections, or access pro services from us or yourselves to enhance how Dubba works in the business. Could be through custom dashboards, it could be through deep AI training to surface specific keywords. And the way you get started is, if you're not already a Dubba reseller, is definitely jump on the reseller portal and sign up. That's how you'll hear about it in a minute, how you can register opportunities and access amazing rewards and benefits just simply for registering an opportunity. So really simple and easy to get going, really simple to differentiate with Dubba, and really simple to start earning rewards tomorrow morning. So what do you do? What do you do next? Really simple. Start with including Dubba in every deal you're doing. We're here to help you sell and quote. We've got a terrific inside sales team. We've got great field people. We can show you how to integrate Dubba into every proposal and instantly differentiate and add value to every sale. It's a simple and easy add-on for your existing customers. We're happy to help with marketing, presenting, and more. We have fantastic rewards. You're going to hear about those a little bit in a minute. That simply for registering opportunities and engaging in the market, it's simple and easy for you to get going. The most important thing you can do is jump on that reseller portal though and look at all the incredible assets we've got available to you. And I would emphasize, at any point you're stuck, just yell, we'll help you navigate through it. We're more than happy to help you co-present to customers, to demo to customers, to help tweak and create quick dashboards for customers to show them what their data could look like. Nearly anything's possible with Dubba. So with that, I'm going to hand back to the rest of the team. We're really excited and grateful you've given us the time today. There's been no better time to be out in the market presenting unified call recording as part of any unified communications platform sale. We're here to help, and back to the rest of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy. That was great. So look, guys, in the next 10 minutes or so, I just want to spend a bit more time uncovering some of the qualifying questions that we use to unpack opportunities, especially obviously when you're focusing on specific areas of revenue and how we kind of address that from a compliance perspective, but also how do we actually uncover the questions in a broader kind of arena as well, with things like, for example, customer experience. But the first one I wanted to kind of look at, given that it's a really kind of key area for the business in terms of where we've won historically, but also where we continue to win globally, is in that area of compliance. And therefore, by asking this first question in front of you, do you need to keep records of customer conversations for compliance? This allows for two things, really. It allows us to open up the conversations, not only for kind of banking and financial services and insurance, but also allows us to address some of the areas outside of those kind of key areas, such as, for example, wagering, legal, and healthcare. And also by targeting the theme of compliance across the organization and customer conversations, we're actually moving explicitly away from what would be the traditional purview of call recording, which obviously is contact center, and therefore we're making it a whole of business conversation, and therefore it's a business issue. And especially so obviously in the world that we live in today, where remote working and kind of hybrid is obviously, very much the norm. That kind of ability to capture across multiple devices and multiple locations is really, really quite critical. And therefore, when we're talking to businesses who are used to talking about compliance and call recording, what we're doing here is actually saying, well, actually, that traditional domain of contact center, if that's your kind of key area of experience, then there's probably a good chance that you're dealing with a product that's actually relatively expensive and also labor intensive to actually utilize. And there's also obviously a good chance that it's a traditional on-premises solution. And therefore, we can actually establish the fact that there's a compliance piece and a conversation, which we're talking to here, is actually that this could be a much broader tool within the business, not only from a kind of compliance and call recording perspective, but also that it gives you access to a whole raft of additional elements. So, for example, when we ask the question, is the way you store, capture, is the way you capture and store calls compliant? Do you store these in a central repository? Obviously, from a Dubba perspective and by extension through our partners, absolutely yes. The ability to capture and store 100% of calls compliantly to meet privacy and data sovereignty requirements is absolutely there. And therefore, when you're talking in the world of compliance in particular, what we're really stressing here is capture all of the conversations across all of your business, but do it in a really secure and compliant manner. And therefore, you can have the best of both worlds, that scalability, but also that compliance and that data sovereignty comes as standard. The next question there is, do you need to conduct rapid audits and investigations? And again, from a Dubba perspective, using the real-time search and be able to respond rapidly to audits and investigations is a really compelling piece for those officers or those compliance teams that need to not only be alerted, but actually get on the front foot. And then likewise, do you monitor compliance breaches today? And then obviously with the voice AI solution, as you'd have heard from Andy, the ability to actually have that and actually automate that and actually have the real-time alerts on breaches, again, is a proactivity that compliance organizations or those organizations which have a compliance component to what they do, this is really compelling. And then last but not least, the ability to say, do you actually need to be able to provide the compliance reporting to both your management board and or the regulators? The ability to, again, have that automated through the dashboards and using the kind of the productized APIs to actually generate both either in-house custom reporting, but also using your existing reporting tools is really compelling. So again, as you can probably tell, this kind of key theme of around capture, the ease of access, and getting on the front foot with possible compliance risk and resolution is really what we're addressing when it comes to the compliance sector. So having said that, let's move to talk a little bit more around a slightly broader user case. And this really gets into the power of being able to ask the right qualifying question. And I guess in some respects, it's where the salesperson needs to earn their keep. But if we start with this question here, would you like to understand why callers are calling and their tone and sentiment in real time? In some respects, that's a philosophical question, and 99 times out of 100, the answer would be absolutely yes. But what we're really doing here is we're taking the end customer on a journey with us, and we're actually taking them through a easy to navigate decision-making process, which actually gets them to that spot, and it gets them there quickly. So if we look at the supplemental questions here, so for example, what if you were able to have visibility of customer calls across all touch points, for example, desktop, mobile, Teams, Zoom, WebEx, contact center, call center, etc. That ability to have that unified call recording experience, absolutely only available through Dubba. So therefore, by extension, what you're getting from that is a deep customer insight on every particular call, regardless of the device or employee location. And again, that's really compelling. Would you like to be alerted in real time if a customer says they want to cancel their account? Pretty much any business owner or anyone who owns a responsibility for trading of a business unit or a department would say yes. And I think most people would say yes, irrespective of their level of responsibility. But the ability to, again, get the custom keyword notifications and alerts out of the box through the Dubba solutions, again, should be an area that's really compelling to the end customer. And then the third one there being, do you want to conduct customer satisfaction reporting? How much do you spend on that today? And would you like to eliminate those costs? And in some respects, this is kind of a more broader sales tactic where it's a bit of a cost tease, if you like, in terms of making sure that any investment is well considered by most organizations, but also the fact that there's a promise that this could actually be cost neutral as they implement the Dubba solution. Their ability to actually reduce costs elsewhere or allocate costs from other budgets to actually driving better outcomes becomes part of the conversation. And again, that's often quite important, especially in mid-market and enterprises where often you're displacing a legacy technology, which probably has some legacy sponsors within the business. And that ability to, as I said, to eliminate those secondary costs becomes quite compelling. And we'll talk a little bit more about some of the financial questions we can answer or ask rather later on in this session. So just moving on, one of the areas I did want to highlight is around the concept of improving dispute resolution and remediation. So historically, I mean, over the last sort of 3-4 years, Dubba's done really well through its partner community, and especially out of the US in terms of this particular pain point that we fix. So the question here is really around: do you need to rapidly access and search conversations for remediation of disputes and evidence of orders placed? So that's a pretty mouthful in terms of the actual question. But what we're really saying here is the supplemental pieces around: would you like to be able to actually have accurate records of every conversation? And by extension, would you like to be able to search those records in real time to speed up remediation? And again, from a Dubba perspective, obviously, the first answer is absolutely yes, in terms of automatically capturing those calls and 100% of them for the proof of what actually was said, ordered, and or committed. And then secondly, what's really compelling is obviously that instant search. And we actually have case studies which actually just talk to this particular pain point as the justification for purchasing a whole raft of Dubba solutions. But it's driven by that accuracy, speed of access, and ability for that quick dispute resolution, so that a problem that gets surfaced gets addressed immediately, gets resolved before it festers or before it becomes a difficult conversation, either with a customer or a supplier. And again, that's been a real key component to driving a lot of our early success, especially in that sort of SME and early mid-market. Just moving slightly broader, but in not in a similar area, one of the things that we definitely see driving demand in the last kind of 18 months or so is around, not surprisingly, productivity and staff performance. And therefore, the question here is around: do you have visibility of work from home employee conversations? And this really is around the keyword visibility. It's not around Big Brother. It's not around trying to audit people in terms of their own conversations. So it's much more about making sure that employees, especially in a hybrid working environment, are getting the support they need. If they're dealing with difficult conversations, that they're getting the support both in terms of the training, but then also where they're dealing with those conversations well, that they are used for coaching purposes. Therefore, the first question we have here is: would you like to understand how your teams are dealing with difficult customer conversations for training and coaching purposes? And again, from a Dubba perspective, the ability to replay those team calls for coaching and training absolutely comes as standard. The fact you can share those calls in a secure manner with soft links that expire after 24 hours or after a number of plays is again another additional security feature. And equally, would you like accurate records of every customer meeting? That talks again to the concept of being able to have the unified call recording experience, but also through our Dubba app, you can actually record face-to-face meetings and store those also in your Dubba portal. So therefore, the ability to create meeting notes from the staff meetings or customer meetings, which again can even be face-to-face and not always in a virtual environment, also form part of the solution. And then thirdly here, would you like to be able to eliminate time spent manually entering customer conversation details into CRMs such as Salesforce? So the Salesforce piece is really interesting because we have a fully productized API that allows us to deliver pretty much integration and seamless integrations into a lot of the popular CRMs. So obviously Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce are two popular enterprise level CRMs, but we do also work with others. But what's interesting with the Salesforce one in particular is that we actually have a marketplace app that allows end customers to switch on Dubba call recording and transcription services directly into their Salesforce account. And therefore, if there's conversations happening at an account level, the calls can be consumed within Salesforce directly, both the call recordings themselves, but also those transcriptions. So again, that single pane of glass view can assist in terms of making sure the efficiencies are there, but also allows for those calls to sit in the right place, but also the transcriptions and the accuracy of those calls can also reside there without any manual inputs needed by the individual who's taken the call or by a sales ops team, for example. So again, efficiency around that, and especially so for those now working in a hybrid working environment. The kind of last question I wanted to spend a little bit of time on is really more of a financial view of the world in terms of being able to reduce capex and the kind of the broader customer research costs, and obviously also by extension total cost of ownership. So the question here is a reasonably blunt one, which is: would you like to be able to capture more calls while eliminating legacy call recording costs and the costs like, for example, customer research? So one of the things that I guess Dubba and its partners are fortunate to have is that we are very much a native cloud solution. We kind of embraced infrastructure as code as an early adopter, and therefore we have an economic advantage around multi-tenancy, scalability, security, etc., which is pretty hard for most core recording and AI vendors to replicate. So often you'll see hosted core recording solutions or solutions that are migrated from being on-prem to some sort of hybrid cloud solution. They will always struggle to have a competitive product from a licensing perspective, just because of the way they've been architected, and therefore we need to make hay whilst we can. And therefore, one of the first questions we can ask is, around the cost effectiveness. So, do you cost effectively record 100% of your calls today? And then, obviously, from a Dubba perspective, it's infinitely scalable in the cloud, and we can capture as many calls as you need, and therefore, pretty much all our products have unlimited calls, and outside of any freemium product, have unlimited storage, just because of that scalability that we can bring to the table in an economic way. How much do you currently spend? Which obviously is a pretty front-forward question. Again, we know that from a SaaS perspective, we're a pure SaaS play, and therefore the additional incremental licenses around having database costs or service credits or engineering costs and people costs just don't really exist in our world of actually deployment. And then the third thing there is around, it's actually that. How much do you actually spend on hardware, services, maintenance costs? And again, as I said before, we eliminate all those costs, and therefore those constraints of legacy core recording, which in some ways are the worst of both worlds. You've actually got an expensive solution capturing only a percentage of calls, and we're saying, well, actually, we'll capture all your calls at a fraction of the cost, and therefore, as I said, implying the cost advantage or the pricing advantage we have in market, alongside some of the other areas like security, as well as obviously the accessibility, the speed of search, and some of those additional kind of powerful AI tools, we think makes it a really kind of compelling solution, both to our partner community and, as I said, by extension, to end enterprise customers and government. So that's your kind of questions. What I did want to do is just kind of talk really quickly, and I'm kind of conscious of time as well, so we may ask for those questions that are being posed to be wrapped up and sent separately. But I did want to spend a couple of minutes just looking at the Dubba Grow rewards program. So one of the things that we're mindful of is obviously, we like to reward partner engagement, and therefore one of the best ways we can do that is actually make it easy to get recognition, but then also recognize growth. So you can see here, for example, when we talk about license SKUs endpoints, what we're looking at here is either a $5 or $10 payment per endpoint, and obviously you can see that in terms of whether they're registered or they actually close as a sale between now and the end of September, and then a 2x booster for those larger opportunities just to incentivize a bit of scale, and then there's some T's and C's around kind of how much individual partners can earn from this particular promotion. And again, it's very much for partners who are either engaged with Dubba or are looking to engage in the short term, and therefore it's incremental reward beyond obviously the more strategic and kind of business development rewards that come from working with a kind of a company like ourselves. So what I would say is, really easy. It's been designed to be very easy to participate in. So you essentially get your prospect to understand the Dubba value prop, you register the opportunity, and then you schedule a demo and a kind of an early stage qualification piece with ourselves some stage between now and the end of the month, so end of September rather. And you can see on page there, the dubba.net/dubbagrow is the URL for that particular piece. I think this kind of just really reiterates what I was just saying in terms of each one of those leads having 3 pieces, i.e. you enter the key opportunity status, as in, is it a new lead, the reseller details, which is obviously the partner details, and then anything around the opportunity. So, the size, the target endpoints, where they're based, and any other kind of stuff that you may feel is relevant as part of the kind of the pre-story before we actually engage with qualifying it into the portal. Just again, a couple of T's and C's here. We get asked whether or not it can be registered any other way. It's just from a ease of reporting and kind of visibility. We do ask for that get registered in the website. It applies to net new leads. So if it's an existing customer and you're looking to kind of migrate them from an on-prem using one of the Dubba solutions, historical legacy ones, to an on-prem move to cloud, then we would not really consider that as a net new. So it's really around new opportunities coming into the market. The account director or territory manager needs to be engaged at some stage to actually validate that it's real. We do put a threshold of a minimum of 10, which feels fine, I think, in terms of how many endpoints the customer needs to have. And you can see the rest of the T's and C's on screen, and I won't read those out. But again, you can see the full T's and C's are on the website, and that website for actually engaging with this particular rewards program again is www.dubba.net/dubbagrow. So that is it. As I said, we covered a lot of ground in this session, ranging from Andy's big picture and actually how we actually look at the voice data and how we actually differentiate, but then also making sure we don't die, and then also using that differentiation to grow revenue, trying to distill that into some practical elements around some of the qualification questions, and then obviously finishing it up with a little bit more around how we can incentivize you guys and reward you guys for bringing further growth to the Dubba story, but also more importantly, supporting you in terms of reaching out to your own end customers with innovative and world-class leading technology when it comes to voice call recording and voice AI. So on that lofty ambition, I'll leave you for the rest of the day. Thank you again for being part of today's webinar. My name is Theo Tida. You'll be sent some additional stuff after this session, so please do get back in touch if you need anything. I would encourage, as I said, registering opportunities to the campaign Dubba Go if you can, and any questions obviously come back to myself, and we'll look forward to seeing you on another webinar in the near future. And last but not least, have a good rest of the day. Thank you, everyone.